Hey everyone, before the video starts, please check out my abridged channel where you can watch abridged anime just like the good old days. Especially if you're a Toonami fan like me, I hope you go out and support the channel. Anyway, let's get on to the video. Ever since its introduction in 1997, Toonami has always been a good place for people to watch anime and action cartoons. And we're finally getting the 30th anniversary of Toonami this year. Well, next year, really, is what it's going to be. But I'm really excited about this because a lot of anniversaries that Toonami does is usually a big event. Let me remind you, when they did their 10th anniversary, their 20th anniversary, and all those anniversaries, they always did something big and fantastic for Toonami. So without further ado, let me get to the shows and the stuff I hope to see in Toonami's 30th anniversary. Number 10, the Gundam series. Ever since its introduction in 1979 in Japan, it has been a staple in anime history for many years. The first Gundam series to ever appear on Toonami was none other than, well, Gundam Wing. And it became so popular that Toonami decided they needed more Gundam to show. That's when they got Bandai to make more dubs for OG Gundam and Gundam Seed, which were just as popular. But the record holds as more people prefer the old school Gundam as well. If it's the more Toonami fans, they're gonna want the Gundam Wing series. As for me, I feel like you should definitely do all three of the main Gundam series here in America. Now I know they're not really big in Japan, but I think for America's sake, you should do the best ones that most people know of in America. Toonami has replayed and rerun these series before, but those are more of when it was returning back to Adult Swim rather than Cartoon Network. And for the most part, I think that in itself could be one case why we probably aren't going to get this series back. But come on, it's such big in Toonami's history. I would love to see it on my screen yet again with that Adult Swim logo. Let's also not forget, a lot of people seem to really want more of the OG Toonami series, and that's what this list is all about. These are not series that will most likely come to the channel, more like series that will just become more popular opinions to most people and will probably not be on there, but it's hopeful to wish. Number 9, Ben 10. While Toonami hasn't aired this series in a while and wasn't really prominent on Toonami as a whole, it still does have a place in a lot of 2000s kids' hearts. And I do feel like this is a show that is worthy of being on Toonami yet again. Let's be honest, when's the last time we've all watched Ben 10 all the way through? It's been a long time, and I'm sure we've all forgotten most of the scenes that have happened. Especially since us 2000s kids didn't have a way to rewatch these shows over and over and over again unless we bought physical media. Well, some of us kids were unfortunate to have parents that would say we can't have it. However, I do think this is a pretty good idea for Toonami, as where some of the shows and some of the episodes did appear on Toonami It's just it was later in the lifespan when Toonami started to die out. I do think this would be a really good idea, and also I think it would please some Ben 10 fans and maybe let them check out Toonami that they probably haven't seen in a really long time. Number 8. Star Wars The Clone Wars. If there was any show that I would watch on Toonami more than anything, it might have been Star Wars The Clone Wars, to be honest with you. I was never a Star Wars kid as a little kid, mostly because I just really wasn't into live action movies. However, my big cousin used to come over a lot, and he showed me Star Wars The Clone Wars when it aired on Toonami and Cartoon Network. I used to absolutely obsess over the show, and it was one of those shows that I just had to not miss a single episode. As it went on and I just kept on getting invested into the story, I ended up loving Star Wars more as a teenager. By my teenage years, it got me into wanting to watch the old movies to watch the new one. And it's all thanks to Toonami to doing that. I feel like with the saturation that Star Wars have gone through over the years, a lot of people really rather have that old nostalgia they had for Star Wars. And I think this show could be a testament to see if people really choose to love Star Wars. Disney has recently been slowly but surely giving up on Star Wars, and I really do think they could give Toonami some of the seasons, if not the whole show, to air. As we all know, Disney is known for wanting to keep their stuff as their own. Number 7. My Hero Academia Seasons 8 and 7. My Hero Academia has always been really big with Toonami. However, they have aired all the ones that were made by Funimation before the Crunchyroll merger. And that kind of makes it hard for Toonami to get these other seasons of My Hero Academia because they're much newer while also being much more Crunchyroll focused. I do think it's kind of scummy that Crunchyroll is putting us where we are unable to get our Toonami fill on these Crunchyroll shows, but to each their own. However, I'm a big fan of My Hero Academia, and I feel like it should be seen by the public who cannot afford Crunchyroll. I feel like it should help those that may have not been able to watch this show. And if so, I feel like they should start from season 1 all the way to season 8 to kind of get that feel of old Toonami again. And this was one of the shows that really helped Toonami's big return. So I would love to see this return yet again. However, I don't think it's possible, but I would love to be surprised. Number 6. Sailor Moon, Seasons 1 through 5. Sailor Moon was always one of those timeless Toonami classics, with it premiering around the same time Dragon Ball Z did. In fact, it premiered the same night Dragon Ball Z did. And I think it's more important that we have Sailor Moon back on the block. We had the deep dub, and I doubt that they are able to get that due to licensing and serialization. However, Viz has completely dubbed the entire anime and made it accurate to the manga. So we can now watch Sailor Moon in peace without having to worry about the Americanization. However, a lot of people really love that Americanization. I do think this would benefit Toonami a lot because Deke never dubbed the 5th season, Sailor Stars. And I think it would benefit Toonami a lot that it finally aired that final season and we could finally get the epic moment. I'm not going to say here because of YouTube censorship, but if you know, you know. Number 5, Yu-Gi-Oh! Kids today can have their Yu-Gi-Oh! Nowadays or their Bakugan or whatever is the new series nowadays. I prefer the classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. I mean, think about it. We all thought it was cool as kids. Even though with the censorship and everything, they still made it feel like a cool show that made it feel like an event. This was one of those shows that was more darker for the 4Kids era, and I feel like 4Kids needs some kind of representation in this Toonami 30th anniversary. I mean, after all, Toonami was really big with 4Kids, and they got a lot of 4Kids dubs. I feel like we can sacrifice Yu-Gi-Oh! To be on there, as it is one of the best 4Kids dubs, even with its censorship. Number 4, Bakugan. Bakugan will always have a special place in my heart, mostly because this was one of my first anime I ever watched. In fact, it was the thing that actually got me into anime. Although I will say Sonic X was the one that I watched all the way through. However, Bakugan, I mostly got the toys for it. I used to play this a lot with my older cousin and my little brother. We would overly obsess with the Bakugan battles and how cool the toys actually were. How they actually activated and revealed a secret creature inside. I thought it was always cooler than these card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And your Pokemon and Digimon. I thought they were much cooler because you actually got to play with the toys. And I thought it was much cooler than Beyblade as a kid, mostly because I just loved the gimmick with all of them. However, I do doubt that we'll ever see Bakugan back on Toonami, as it's getting rerun mostly on Disney XD. However, I do think we could see it return mostly because of that bundle. But it's all only if Disney is allowing that bundle to happen. And even then, it's mostly Hulu that has the license, so they'll have to go through a lot of trouble through that. Anyway, on to the next one. Number 3, Naruto. As someone that just recently finished the Pain arc, I feel like the original Naruto holds up much better than Shippuden. However, I do think it does have nostalgia bait, and I do think a lot of people who saw it were mostly on Toonami. And I think this show would be a really good one to bring back, especially since there's 11 filler episodes that have never been aired on Toonami. Toonami has only shown all of Shippuden and Boruto, but we haven't seen all of the original Naruto or the Rock Lee series on Toonami. However, I do doubt that we'll ever see the Rock Lee series on here. That's why I mostly put Naruto, since it is the thing that made Toonami so popular that it was. And I don't think if we left it out and didn't have it on Toonami, we wouldn't have it back on Adult Swim. Number 2, Batman Beyond. Before Absolute Batman, there was a great Batman series called Batman Beyond. This one was one of my favorites growing up, especially since it was my favorite Batman show as a kid. I always thought it was a cooler, more edgier take on the Batman character, rather than having him be the same Bruce Wayne we know him. This takes a time skip where we have Terry McGinnis, a Batman in training by Bruce Wayne, who is his Alfred in the show. This show was always so cool and everything of how it took the future aspect and made it better. Now, as we all know, the 2000s were all about the future, and that's what this show really was about. Now, if we don't get this series back, don't worry, I really do think they'll at least show the Return of the Joker movie, as where you don't even have to watch the series to watch the movie. And I think that's a better alternative in the long run. Honorable mention number 1, My Hero Academia Vigilantes. As a spin-off to My Hero Academia, it doesn't live up to the hype of the original, but, however, it does show more potential in the vigilante part of the world, and I really do enjoy seeing that. However, I do think this is worthy to be on Toonami at least once, because this actually puts in concepts that were never shown in the original series, as where there are heroes that aren't official heroes, but they officially have a way where they are heroes in the shadows. And I do think that's a pretty cool concept. Let's not forget, this series is much more darker than the actual My Hero Academia series, and a lot of people consider it to be better than the original series overall, due to the more mature factor. I do think it's worthy to be on Toonami, especially for its 30th anniversary if My Hero Academia does come back to the block. Honorable mention number 2, Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop is an amazing beginner anime. I personally have not seen it, but I've heard really good things about it. It brought Adult Swim action on the block, and it really made Cartoon Network really big, especially for Adult Swim. However, when it comes to Toonami, they did a lot of reruns in their early years on Adult Swim. And I feel like with it coming back, it could bring a lot of people back together just to watch some Cowboy Bebop. I mean, the whole point of this is to make sure people remember that Toonami is still out there, and that it'll forever be here, for now. And I feel like we should be prioritizing more shows that make people fall in love with anime, even if they might be hard to get. Honorable mention number 3, Trigun and Outstar Law. Since these two are pretty much the same in terms of when they aired, I think it would be pretty cool just to see them two air at the same time. I've never seen either one of those, so I don't have much attachment to these, but I know a lot of people probably have a lot of attachment to these and probably want to see them back on the block again. And Toonami did do reruns of this, but not as much as Cowboy Bebop, mostly because Cowboy Bebop is always going to be a cult classic between a lot of people. Honorable mention number 4, Death Note. Despite being banned in parts of the world, I will say Death Note is one of those animes that will forever be one of those animes that people always come back to. It's a beginner anime, and everybody's pretty much has watched it. And I feel like this is a good one for Toonami to show up. From my understanding, it has never aired on Toonami, only on Adult Swim Action. So that makes it even more concerning for them to actually want to put it on here. But with how classic this anime is, I think it's worthy to get in. Besides, if Netflix can have their share of Death Note on their streaming service for years and years and years and years and never getting rid of it and always renewing it, why can't Toonami do the same for a few months? Honorable mention number 5, JoJo's Part 1 through 7. As someone who is currently on JoJo's Part 3, I feel like we should get some kind of rerun of the JoJo Bizarre Adventure show. Now, I will say I don't really like Part 1, Part 2 is okay, Part 3 has been my favorite so far. And I've heard that Toonami has aired 1 through 6 and not 7. I do think with the partnership of Netflix and how they were able to get Dotted On, and on top of that, it being a Viz Media dub, I think it's more likely we're going to get JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, however, I do think some people will probably say only do the ones that people care about, and I would kind of agree with that. Do the ones that you think is worthy of doing it. The ones that gave you the best ratings. That is just my opinion. However, they can do whatever they want. It's their blog. Honorable mention number 6, Yu Yu Hakusho. As someone that has only seen Yu Yu Hakusho Season 1, I feel like the show would be really fun to bring back, as it did have a censor dub on Toonami and had the uncut version on Adult Swim Action. Having the uncut version on Toonami nowadays would really show that they are going above and beyond with this anniversary. However, I do highly doubt we'll ever see this happen. So, here's hopes for it to actually happen. Honorable mention number 7, Neon Genesis Evangelion. As someone that is currently binge watching this series, I have really enjoyed this so far. I'm currently on episode 13 and hopefully going to return to the series after this video. However, I do think this show really does a sentiment to Adult Swim and Toonami as a whole. Toonami had a cut dub that ended up only lasting 2 episodes. However, Adult Swim aired the entire series on their Adult Swim Action block. And I think it would be pretty cool just to see Toonami fully do the uncut version for the first time. Heck, they could even mention it in the bumpers, and I feel like a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, that was right. Neon Genesis Evangelion was actually on Toonami. I remember that now. Honorable mention number 8, One Punch Man. No matter how bad this show goes downhill, I will always be watching it, even if it has crappy animation. The story is always there, and especially for the dub. I always have liked One Punch Man for one reason and another. It had good parody and satire for the superhero genre, which has always been one of my favorite, if not my favorite genre of all film. And I did really enjoy the first season of One Punch Man. Season 2 might have had bad pacing, but then it came to Season 3, which somehow has not aired on Toonami. I wonder if it's because of the backlash of the 3rd season, but hey, Season 3 is actually a really good season in my opinion, with the story. Animation is something else. But, however, I do really enjoy this season, and I do really hope this show does return on Toonami and eventually does air that 3rd season. After all, it is owned by Viz Media, and we all know that Viz Media is more easier to get. And now for my number 1 pick that I think Toonami definitely needs to bring back for the block is Dragon Ball Z. Come on, what do you expect? It's Dragon Ball freaking Z. And it's also the thing that made Toonami very popular in the first place. Back in the 90s, everyone who couldn't stop watching Dragon Ball Z due to the crazy action and the crazy storytelling and the scary villains that really scared us and traumatized us in some ways and some form. Toonami was always known for having the Ocean dub while also airing the Funimation dub. And I feel like with Crunchyroll and Funimation and everything, I feel like this could work. But I know if they're gonna do anything, it will probably be Dragon Ball Z Kai, but who knows? they might change their mind and actually do DBZ. Whatever the case may be, I really hope they actually go through with giving us something Dragon Ball related that is from the old era. Whether that be Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Z Kai, Dragon Ball Z Kai The Final Chapters, you name it, I don't care. Even GT or original Dragon Ball could be fun. Whatever the case may be, I just know it's just going to be awesome just to see DBZ back on the block. And now it's time to talk about the things I want to see Toonami do for the 30th anniversary. First of all, it's pretty obvious of what they need to do. They do this every single time when an anniversary happens, and they look back of the past, where they do a bumper where it shows the past toms, the past music, and past bumpers that they used, and the most memorable events that they did. I feel like they should really do this to really immerse us back to the good old days. This is more likely going to happen due to it being tradition, but I think it would be awesome just to see them go above and beyond with it than what they usually do. Maybe even have us do more lore with Tom. Maybe have more lore with Sarah. Maybe do more lore about what happened to Tom 4. I think it could all work out and be really fun. Second of all, I really want them to bring back the movies. The movies were a really big part of the early days of Toonami, and they kind of tried to bring them back for the Adult Swim era, but it wasn't really all that big around, and I really feel like it could be fun seeing some Naruto Shippuden, some maybe Dragon Ball Super, or any kind of movies that they need to air that they haven't. Heck, there's a Blue Lock movie that they can even show, as where, since that was a really big thing on Toonami this year, maybe have us watch some movies of that are original ideas like Perfect Blue or something. It's just all so pretty cool that it could be fun just to see Toonami bring movies back to Toonami. Not only that, it can save you money on having to air tons and tons and tons of TV shows by having a movie once a month. I feel like that would be a perfect balance of what we need to do. Anyway, with all that said, it's time for my final thought. Lastly, for Toonami, I really want there to be a big event. You know, like a huge event that they usually do. Maybe give us a new Tom or new bumpers and everything. I feel like that would be really cool to see. A new Tom, new design, and also an awesome event. Also, you don't really have to kill off Tom, because there was one during the Tom 3 era where you would think he was gonna die, but he didn't. He ended up surviving, and then they did another event just not too long ago, and then they gave us Tom 4. That would be pretty cool to see in a way where it deserves our expectations. Let's not forget, this has always been a trend with these anniversaries. They've always tried to do some sort of event with the bumpers. Anyway, if anything, I'm more excited about Toonami's 30th anniversary than I've ever been with the channel. They've always done things to exert our expectations when it comes to the block, and I really would appreciate some more originals as well. Like My Adventures of Green Lantern, I would really love to see it happen on the anniversary. I could also see them dropping Ninja Kamui Season 2 on here. It's always been a really fun ride when it comes to Toonami, and I really do love seeing the schedule being updated back to back to back, and I especially love making these update videos as well. But that's all for now. Hopefully I see y'all soon and I get to talk more Toonami on this channel.